I hate the Roll Tide. It's like, come on. Paul Coro joining us, GCU Lopes color analyst on the right to the guest on here on Fox Sports 910. First of all, Paul, before we get started, who was the woman that screamed the whole time? What was that all about? I mean, can you shed some light on that for us?
Do we blame the woman, or do we blame where Sylvia's put the mic?
Yeah,
I don't know.
A little bit of both.
Can you put a sock in her mouth?
Maybe if you don't want screaming, maybe don't put the mic right by the havoc.
Oh, jeez. Hey, I got to tell you, though, we were talking earlier that, GCU has been on the map. We all know it. But I think with the first win in the tournament, and then what we saw yesterday, the game was pretty close till the end, really put them on the map. I mean, I had 4 people from out of state just asking me more about GCU. Have you noticed in the last, say, 48 hours or so that a lot more attention, people asking more questions about the university?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's amazing. Like, for a team that's been to the NCAA tournament 3 times in the last 4 years, winning a game changes everything as far as notoriety, conversations, media mentions, just talk about where they could be in the future off of this. I'm sure it's going to change what they're doing right now, because those guys are having to dive straight into the transfer portal. Their wounds haven't even healed from last night yet, and they barely slept with getting in overnight, and they got to go right back into the portal and try to rebuild it.
From that particular standpoint, and the recruiting aspect, as far as Rock alluding to, putting yourself on the map, what are some of the things you're hearing from some of these recruits as the coaching staff dives in that portal that makes it appealing? Not only getting to the NCAA and winning a game, but is it all about the Havocs, or having a Jerry Colangelo kind of oversee this program? If any, what particular has been the kind of the bell cow for this program from the recruiting standpoint?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, usually I talk to each of these guys once they sign and do a story. And usually the consistent 2 things are that they want to win, and they know that this is a winning program and that they'll be in contention for the NCAA tournament every year, and the home environment. They all think it's insane when they see how it is. Even places, you could come from places that don't support basketball and be amazed that it's sold out every single game, no matter who the opponent is. Or you could play at a place where you do get amazing support, but it's a lot of people doing golf claps all game, and there's no buzz to it, where it's, like lit like a rave every GCU home game. And that attracts a lot of guys too.
Paul Coro is our guest on the Right Toyota guest line. All right, Paul, from your vantage point, please explain what we saw, all the breakdowns that took place in the second half, particularly in the last 5 to 6 minutes. From your vantage point, how did you see it being the announcer for the team? And did you understand the problems that were going on with the Lopes offense?
It's a rough night to have one guy in double digits, when you've had a team that regularly has been able to lean on multiple people, when guys have off nights. And, last night, Ty Grant Foster had to shoulder everything. He was exhausted out there trying to do it. And they still got to that position. And, they didn't shoot the 3 well. They leaned on the 3 way too much early in the game. It's not their bread and butter. But when they were successful, when they were back to getting downhill and attacking, getting feet in the paint, because this team's been number 3 in the nation for free throws all season. And then that's what worked. And, they had a 3-point lead with 6 minutes to go. And that not securing a rebound on missed free throws twice led to a 5-point possession that swung things. And then that was, exasperated by the next few possessions. They had a chance at an interior layup, and the ball was dropped. They had another chance to tie on a free throw, missed more free throws yesterday than they normally do. And then from then on, it was just, trying to play catch up and going for the big shot. And once you get down 2 possessions late in the game, you're really in a bind.
From my vantage point, watching it on TV, you're lucky because you were there watching it. Would you consider it to be one of the more physical games that was played so far in this tournament?
Amazing athletes on the court. Like when you're, especially courtside, you look at the roster for Alabama and you go, oh, wow, they got, they got some tall guys, they're long, all that. And then you see them in person and you're like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like that Pringle guy was such an X factor because he was just everywhere at 6'10". Javon Blackshear at one point was open for a three and the guy was like 15 feet away and somehow he closed out to block it. But the Lopes were doing that too. They had 8 block shots themselves. And so, I mean, it's one thing you take away from this for all the, missed opportunities, offensive struggles. GCU played an amazing defensive game against the number 1 scoring team in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
That was 1 point off of Alabama's scoring low for the season and 19 below their scoring average. So, I mean, GCU can feel good about that. Obviously the foul trouble played a big factor for them down the stretch. Losing Luke War for the end of that game changed how they looked offensively because he gives them that other stretch guy. And McLaughlin and Harrison had to manage foul trouble too.
It's interesting, Paul, you bring that up to force the 13 turnovers on Bama, even though GCU, you guys had the 14, but they ran 9 guys on the court. You guys only ran 8, of which Baker only played like a minute. How difficult was that as far as the energy side? And they just kind of kept coming at you, especially on the boards with those 4 or 5 extra guys coming off the bench.
Yeah, I think it was a factor. I mean, the TV timeouts and tournament time probably helped a little bit because it's longer than normal, but you had guys playing extreme amount of minutes. And one of the other factors of this is they had played St. Mary's Friday, and now you play Alabama Sunday. And in less than 48 hours, you've gone from one of the slowest teams in the nation to one of the fastest. And it's like you're playing on fast forward against Alabama. And that's an adjustment. And, I think it was a really odd sequence to both halves. Like for the first 10 minutes of both halves, there wasn't a lot of scoring, and especially for an Alabama game. And then the way the Crimson Tide closed each half was the difference in the game. The Lopes were tied at the end of the first half, and then there was that 10-2 close for Alabama where you just can't let off the brakes at all against them. They had some missed free throws in there, some turnovers at the end of the half, but then they fight back. They get back in it by getting into the bonus, getting those situations, and then down the stretch again, the close was just, I think, 17-3 down the stretch for those last 6 minutes after they took the 3-point lead.
Well, finishing up here with Paul, color analyst for the Grand Canyon University Lopes. What was your take on Charles Barkley in the comments that it was the dumbest game he's ever seen? What you, as an employee of Grand Canyon, it's your baby there, and you hear Charles, mouthing off like that, and it went absolutely viral.
Well, it was kind of like the day before on the studio show, Barkley talked about how he was pulling for the Lopes. And, and I tweeted that out, and everybody loved that. Like everybody in Phoenix hangs on Charles Barkley's words, right?
Big time.
And so, like, oh, super, Barkley's on board with the Lopes, great. And then he turns on you a day later, and that's. There's no doubt that the Lopes wish they had more ball movement. That they had, it would all look different if they had hit threes, right? Because then all those swings and kickouts make you look like you have ball movement for points. And if they hadn't had some of those interior passes not connect, then that looks different. There were parts where they do, but this is also a little bit how GCU plays. Bryce Drew has been a guy who adjusts to the roster he has. He's not a system guy that's like putting square pegs in round holes every year. This year, he knew he had a team with athletes, with strong players. He used the word confrontational a lot. They're guys that are confrontational in the lane. You see Tyon Grant Foster's game now from watching him. He is not afraid, and he will go at it, and he can contort his body in the air. He's 6'7", and so that just creates things. And you got to live with some stuff too when you have a player like that. He's going to have some turnovers and some missed shots because he rewards you on the other side.
Paul, thanks for making yourself available for this run, man. It was a lot of fun. We wish we were talking Sweet 16, but it was a hell of a year for the Lopes, and I'm sure it's just going to get better. So thanks so much, man. We appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Appreciate the interest.
You got it. That's Paul Coro joining us here on Rock Manooch with Jimmy B. And today he is brought to you by All City Towing, and they are hiring, and they are looking for people to join their team. If you're looking for a career that has great benefits, great people, All City Towing is where you want to go. Go to allcitytowing.com and just search careers. All City Towing, statewide service, and they answer your call 24/7. allcitytowing.com. Coming up, football at 50 as the NFL league meetings are going on. Patriots are open to the top pick.